My girlfriend had a work husband she swore was just a joke. Then I heard her laughing at 2 a.m. on a call. I pretended to be asleep. A week later, I sent an invite to a dinner party. Both of them were on the guest list. When they walked in, everyone stood and clapped. I said, "Tonight's game. Who's been lying the longest?" Her name's Marcy. She's 31. Works in marketing for a company downtown in Denver. I'm 35. I work in IT, mostly from home since the pandemic hit, but I go into the office maybe twice a week now. She used to be the most honest person I'd ever met. Or maybe she was just good at pretending. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, one of those brewery places in Reno. She was sarcastic, fast-talking, and knew how to light up a room. We started talking over beers, ended up walking around the neighborhood until 2 a.m., just talking. She gave me her number, and we saw each other again the next day. Things moved fast after that. She was over at my place constantly. Within a year, we decided it made sense to just move in together. We talked about marriage, kids, a house outside the city someday. For a while, everything felt solid. We had little routines. Friday pizza night, morning coffee. She'd call me on her lunch break most days just to check in. She'd lean over the couch and kiss the top of my head when I was deep in work. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I loved her. But then I started hearing about Kevin. Kevin this. Kevin that. Oh my God. Kevin is so stupid. You should have seen what he wore to work today. Kevin and I had the worst client call. We were both dying. Kevin brought me a latte again. I told him he's going to spoil me. At first I just smiled. I even joked back, called him her second husband once. She laughed and said, "Oh please, it's just Kevin. He's harmless." She started calling him her work husband. Said it was just a thing they did in the office. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to be the insecure boyfriend. I didn't want to be that guy, but something started to feel off. It was little things. She started guarding her phone more, setting it face down when she wasn't using it, turning off previews on her messages. One night, I reached for her phone to check the time, just the time, and she snatched it out of my hand like I was trying to steal from her. I asked if everything was okay. She kissed me and said I was being paranoid. I believed her. For a little while. Then came that night. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I'd stayed late at the office that day. One of our servers crashed, and I had to stay behind to fix it. Got home past midnight. Slipped into bed quietly so I wouldn't wake her. But she wasn't asleep. She was facing away from me, her back curled, phone in hand, AirPods in, whispering. At first, I thought she was watching something. But then I heard her giggle. Soft, high-pitched, the kind of laugh she used when she was flirting. She said, "Stop it. You're so bad," and then laughed again. That wasn't a show. That was a conversation. I froze. Didn't move a muscle. Just kept my breathing even and slow, like I was asleep. She kept whispering. I couldn't catch all of it, but I heard her say, "I missed that. You're stupid," in a playful voice. Then, after a long pause, "Fine. One more minute." She was on the phone with him. At 2 in the morning. The next morning, she acted normal. Made coffee. Played music while brushing her teeth. Talked about her meeting later that day like nothing had happened. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and smiled. But I wasn't smiling inside. I started digging. I checked our shared iPad, which she'd logged into months ago and forgotten. Some of her iMessages were still syncing there. She didn't use iMessage a lot, but a few came through. Just enough to paint the picture. "Can't stop thinking about earlier today. I dreamed about you last night. Again. You should have come over. You know I would have let you." I screenshotted everything. Saved them to a flash drive. Labeled it taxes so she'd never open it. Then I went deeper. I backed up her call logs from her iCloud. She'd called Kevin over 20 times in the past 2 weeks. Once at midnight. Twice after 1 a.m. She thought I wouldn't notice. She thought I was stupid. That's when the idea hit me. I planned a dinner party. Told her I wanted to do something fun with our friends. Something different. A game night. Said I missed seeing everyone. She agreed. Said it sounded fun. I told her to invite some of her coworkers. I specifically said, "What about Kevin? I haven't met him. Might be fun to finally put a face to the name." She paused, just for a second, then said, "Sure. I'll ask him." I spent the whole week preparing. Not just the meal. I prepped everything. I made a little slideshow. I printed out some of the texts. I told a few close friends what was going on and asked them to come. Told them to play along. They were shocked, but they agreed. Saturday night came. I made lasagna, garlic bread, salad. Set the table nice. Music low. Candles. Made it feel warm, cozy, like a real dinner party. Guests arrived, one by one. My best friend Nate and his wife. My coworker Carla. Then Kevin. And Marcy. When they walked in, I gave the signal. Everyone stood up and started clapping. Kevin looked confused. Marcy froze. I raised my glass. Tonight's game, I said. Who's been lying the longest? Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I looked straight at Kevin. Want to start, or should I? Kevin looked at me like I just pulled a gun on him. His eyes darted to Marcy, then back to me, then around the room. He tried to laugh, like it was all some weird joke he wasn't in on. Wait, what's going on? He said. Is this a prank or something? Nope, I said, setting my glass down. Not a prank. Just a little dinner party where the masks come off. Marcy didn't say a word. She was stiff as a board, still holding her purse. Her face was pale. Nate stepped in. Maybe we should all sit down, he said, trying to keep the peace. No, I think we should stay standing, I said. At least until Kevin and Marcy clear a few things up. I turned to Kevin again. You know, Kevin, it's funny. I used to hear a lot about you. You were the funny guy at work. The one who brought her coffee. The one who texted her memes. I even laughed along when she called your work husband. Thought it was cute. Kevin swallowed. Look, man. No. I cut in. Don't talk to me like I'm your buddy. I'm not your buddy. Let's just lay it out. Yeah. You've been calling my girlfriend in the middle of the night. You've been texting her stuff that goes way beyond friends. I've got the messages. I've got the logs. Want me to read one out loud? Marcy's voice finally cracked through. Please don't. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She wasn't angry. She wasn't defensive. She looked ashamed, like a little kid who got caught sneaking cookies. But I wasn't done. You lied to me, I said. For how long? A month? 2. Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to keep playing house with me while sneaking off emotionally with him? It wasn't like that, she said quickly. It wasn't physical. I swear. Kevin stepped forward. That's true. We never. Shut up, I snapped. You don't get to defend her. You're the guy who calls another man's girlfriend at 2 a.m. and whispers in her ear like a creep. Okay, look, Kevin said, getting red in the face. I didn't know you two were still serious. She made it sound like things were ending. She said. I turned to Marcy. You said what? She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I stepped forward, not yelling, but close. Did you tell him we were breaking up? That we weren't serious anymore? That you were only staying until you figured stuff out? Her voice was barely a whisper. I didn't mean it like that. Then how did you mean it? No answer. Everyone was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Carla stared at the floor. Nate looked like he wanted to pull the fire alarm just to make it all stop. I walked to the counter, picked up the flash drive. Held it up. This little thing? I said. It's got screenshots. Texts. Call logs. You two have had more conversations at night than I've had with my own mother this year. You think I didn't notice? You think I was just some dumb guy who believed whatever you fed me because you smiled when you said it. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, finally crying now. Yeah, well, you did. And you didn't even have the guts to end it clean. You just kept lying. Kevin grabbed his coat. I'm leaving. This is messed up. Yeah, I said. It is. He opened the door and walked out without another word. Marcy stood in the middle of the room, wiping her face. I didn't sleep with him, she said again, like it mattered. I know, I said. That would have been easier, honestly. She looked confused. It's worse because you chose him every night. Chose to text him, laugh with him, lean on him instead of me. You left the relationship long before this. I turned to everyone else. Thanks for coming. Game night's over. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. The guests started filtering out, quiet and awkward. No one made eye contact. Nate gave me a firm hand on the shoulder on his way out, but even he didn't know what to say. What do you say when someone lights their relationship on fire in front of you? Marcy didn't move. Just stood there, still holding her purse like it was a shield. I walked past her, grabbed a trash bag, and started cleaning up the untouched dinner. She sniffled. So what now? You tell me, I said, not looking up. You're the one who made all the secret moves. Got anything else to confess? I said everything, she muttered. I laughed bitterly. Did you? Because Kevin said you told him we were ending things. That we weren't serious. I was mad, she said. You've been distant, always working. It felt like you didn't care anymore. You don't fix distant by building a second relationship behind someone's back. You talk. You fight. You scream. You don't cheat emotionally and pretend it's not cheating because nobody took their clothes off. She dropped her purse. You think I don't feel like crap? I've been drowning in guilt for weeks. You didn't feel guilty enough to stop, I said. Silence. Just her quiet sobs and the sound of me throwing lasagna into the trash. Then she said something that stopped me cold. He wasn't the first. I turned slowly. What? She bit her lip. I thought you knew. I figured that's why you were doing all this. The other guy, before Kevin, it was just a few weeks. Some guy I met at a conference in Dallas last year. Nothing serious. My heart felt like it cracked in half. You cheated on me twice? Once, she said fast. The Dallas guy. We kissed. That's it. Then it was over. I stared at her, everything inside me twisting. You were gonna marry me, I said, voice shaking. We talked about kids. A house. And you had another guy? Before Kevin. I didn't mean for it to happen. Save it, I said. That line doesn't work anymore. I stormed out the back door and sat on the steps, breathing cold night air. My hands were shaking. I couldn't even tell if I was furious or just numb. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Hey, a voice said. Male. Nervous. Is this, Marcy's boyfriend? Who is this? Name's Troy. We met at a marketing conference last year in Dallas. She gave me this number when we were talking. Look, I think I need to tell you something. My blood ran cold. You kissed her, right? I asked. He paused. She said that. Yeah, we didn't just kiss. My throat tightened. What? She stayed in my hotel room. 2 nights. Said she was in a bad place. I didn't know she had a boyfriend. She told me she was single until the day she left. My vision blurred. I hung up, walked back inside. She looked up at me, hope in her eyes. Like maybe I'd calmed down. I dropped my phone on the table. That was Troy, I said. He says you spent 2 nights in his bed. She looked like she might throw up. I didn't think you'd ever find out. I stared at her like she was a stranger. Then I said, flat and low, you need to get out. I don't have anywhere. You had places before me. You found hotel rooms. You'll figure it out. She started crying hard then, crumpling down to the floor like her legs gave out. But I didn't move. She was finally on the ground, and I wasn't picking her up this time. She didn't leave that night. She slept on the couch, or at least pretended to. I didn't ask. I locked the bedroom door behind me and laid in bed staring at the ceiling. I didn't cry, not because I wasn't hurt. I was. But because the pain sat too deep for tears. It just hollowed me out. In the morning, she was gone. No note. No text. No apology. Just gone. I half expected her to come crawling back. She didn't. But a week later, her sister did. Tara knocked on my door one evening. She looked like she didn't want to be there, but she held up a tote bag. She asked me to get the rest of her stuff. I nodded and let her in. While she packed up Marcy's things, clothes, books, framed pictures, I asked without looking at her, you know about Dallas? Tara stopped moving. I figured it out. She came back different. She cheated more than once, I said. Dallas wasn't a fluke. Kevin was just the second act. Tara sighed. She said you didn't deserve it. That you were good to her. Not good enough to stop her, though. She didn't reply. Just kept packing. Before she left, she looked at me and said, for what it's worth, I think she's messed up. She's scared of real things. You scared her because you were actually safe. People like her don't know what to do with safe. After she left, I sat in silence for a long time. I didn't want her back, but I wanted closure. And I wasn't going to let her walk away without paying the price for the months she stole from me. So I made one last move. I sent out an email, blind copy to everyone in her company's department. I kept it short, factual, attached the messages and call logs. Title, about your work husband. I didn't add commentary. I didn't accuse. I just let the facts speak. I don't know how fast it spread, but by that afternoon, she texted me. Marcy, why would you do that? Marcy, I could lose my job over this, Marcy. Are you trying to destroy me? Marcy, please just talk to me. Please. I didn't answer. Later that night, Nate called me. Told me he heard from someone in HR at her job that she'd been placed on unpaid leave while they investigated. Apparently, Kevin had a wife. She didn't know either. Now that household was also up in flames. Marcy's life unraveled the way she unraveled mine. But here's the truth. Revenge didn't feel as good as I thought it would. Yeah, I wanted her to feel it. And she did. But after all the dust settled, I still had to face what was left of me. I stopped sleeping in the house for a while. Stayed at Nate's a few nights a week. Took walks every morning just to move, to breathe. I threw out the mug she bought me with our inside joke printed on it. Deleted our photos from my phone. But the worst part? I started going through everything I did, wondering where I missed the signs. Wondering if maybe I had been too distant. If maybe I ignored her needs while focusing on work. If maybe, just maybe, I hadn't been as great of a partner as I thought. And that's when I realized the final twist. I wasn't perfect. I had my flaws. I didn't always listen when she talked about her day. I did shut down sometimes when things got tough. I wasn't always present. But none of that gave her the right to do what she did. She didn't just hurt me. She humiliated me. She pretended to love me while building escape routes. She lied, over and over, with a smile on her face. She chose every step of her betrayal. And that's what I needed to remember. It wasn't the cheating that broke me. It was the fact that she made me question everything real about our life together. That she made me think love was just a long, slow setup for betrayal. But I'm still here. And I've learned. Next time I love, I'll love smarter. But I'll never ignore my gut again. Because when someone shows you who they are at 2 a.m., believe them. The silence in the dark is always louder than the lies they tell in the light.